They hand you a machine gun, not a rifle, not a pistol, a machine gun, belt-fed, bipod-equipped, the kind of weapon that in any other context would be a war crime to own. You are 19 years old. You weigh 160 pounds. The gun weighs 27. This ratio will define the next several years of your life. Nobody asked if you wanted this. You put down your preference somewhere in a form, and the Army looked at your scores, and your build and your general willingness to carry unreasonable things long distances, and said, "Machine gunner, welcome to the gun line."
Your first day with the weapon, you drop it. Not drop it. You set it down wrong during a transition drill and it tips sideways off the table and hits the concrete floor with a sound like a car accident. Everyone in the bay turns to look at you. Your drill sergeant does not yell. He just stares at you for a long, slow moment. Then he says, "Pick it up." You pick it up. He says, "Again." You do the transition drill again. You do it 47 more times before he is satisfied with a word you would not call satisfied. This is how machine gun school begins. Not with glory, but with repetition and a concrete floor, and a drill sergeant who seems to have taken your incompetence as a personal offense against his entire career.
The weapon has a name, M240B. You learn it the way you learn a person's name when you're going to be spending a lot of time together, whether you like it or not. You learn its weight, broken down and assembled. You learn its parts in order: bolt, bolt carrier, operating rod, gas regulator. You learn to say those words in the dark, literally, because they make you do it in the dark, blindfolded, timed. You fail the first time. You fail the second time. Third time, you pass. Barely, and the instructor marks something on his clipboard and says nothing, which in this environment functions as a standing ovation.
The weapon has a cyclic rate of 650 to 950 rounds per minute. You will think about this number a lot. You will think about what it means in practical terms, which is that if you hold the trigger and do not let go, you will empty an entire belt of ammunition in roughly 4 seconds, which will solve some problems and create several much larger ones. Trigger discipline is not a suggestion. It is a lifestyle. You learn the gun does not learn you. That's not how this works. Carrying it is its own separate education. The M240B is 27.6 pounds unloaded. Loaded with a 100-round belt, you are now carrying 34 pounds of weapon alone. Then there is the ammunition. Machine gunners carry their own, plus the crew carries more. A combat load for a gun team can mean one person hauling close to 70 pounds before you add body armor, water, food, radio, first aid kit, and the psychological weight of knowing that if this gun goes down, a lot of things go very bad very fast. Your shoulders will not forgive you for this. They are forgiving you right now on a technicality because you are young and your body still believes in you in a way it will eventually stop believing.
By your third year, you will have a knot in your right trapezius the size of a walnut that no amount of stretching has ever fully addressed. You hike with it, you run with it. You low crawl with it through dirt and gravel and something that turns out to be mud but smells like it is not mud. You set up in a hasty fighting position and you dig into the ground with it. And you lie behind it in the prone. And you look through the sights at a tree line 400 meters away and you think, okay, I understand now. I understand what this is for. The machine gun is not a rifle. This seems obvious. It is not obvious to your brain until something clicks in the field. A rifle is a personal weapon. It's you and your target. Machine gun is something else. Machine gun is a crew weapon, a system, a tool for controlling terrain. You don't aim it the way you aim a rifle. You set sectors of fire. You establish traverse and elevation limits. You use the T&E mechanism, traverse and elevation, to sweep fire across a kill zone in a controlled, methodical arc. You are not trying to hit a specific person. You are trying to make an entire area uninhabitable for anyone who's not on your side. The difference matters. Your job is suppression. You keep heads down so other people can move. Infantry tactics are built around this: fire and movement. You are the fire.
The riflemen are the movement. Without you, they are exposed. Without them, you are a crew sitting in one spot doing one thing forever, which tactically speaking is a bad situation for you. You are the engine of the maneuver. You will spend a long time understanding what that means. You get a gunner, or rather you become a gunner and you get an AG, assistant gunner. His name is Kowalski, and he is from Ohio, and he has an opinion about everything, and he shares all of these opinions in real time, regardless of whether anyone has asked for them. Kowalski will carry your spare barrel. He will feed your belt during sustained fire. He will call out targets and adjust your fire and hand you tools during immediate action drills. He will also, on a cold morning in the field at 0430, hand you a warm energy drink he has somehow kept warm in his jacket pocket for 6 hours, and you will feel something you can only describe as respect.
A gun team is a relationship. You spend more time with your AG than you spend with anyone else, including people you actually chose to spend time with. You learn each other's rhythms. You start to communicate in shorthand. A tap on the shoulder means something specific. A hand signal in the dark means something else. During a live fire exercise, you and Kowalski run a malfunction drill in 11 seconds without saying a single word. The instructor times it and says, again, you do it in 9. He writes something down. You and Kowalski did not high-five because that is not the culture here, but something passes between you in the silence that functions as one. You deploy. The deployment does not look like the movies. The movies have a clear moment where things begin, a clear moment of escalation, a climax, a resolution.
Your deployment is 9 months of 90% boredom and 10% of something else entirely, and the two things do not warn you before they switch. You set up your gun in a firing position on a mud wall at 0200 and you stare into the dark for 4 hours and nothing happens. This is most nights. Most nights the threat is theoretical. A shape that might be a person in the tree line at 800 meters, a sound that might be movement or might be an animal. Your eyes play games with you in the dark. You see things in the green wash of the night vision that turn out to be shadows and your own imagination working overtime in a high-stress environment. Then one night something does happen. The gun did what it was supposed to do. You did what you were trained to do. It was loud and fast, and it was over before you fully processed that it had started. Afterward, Kowalski checks the barrel temperature. He writes something in the log. You do not speak for several minutes. Then he says, good rate of fire. You say, thanks. That's the debrief. You learn the gun's limitations the same way you learn your own, by running into them. Sustained fire heats the barrel. A hot barrel loses accuracy. A very hot barrel becomes a liability. Barrel changes are a real drill, timed, gloved, executed under pressure. You change the barrel in the dark. You change the barrel while someone is shooting at you, at least in training. And the training is realistic enough that your hands shake the first time, and the instructor says, again. And your hands shake slightly less the second time, and by the 10th time your hands do not shake at all. And this is either progress or dissociation, and you are not qualified to determine which. Ammunition management is constant math. You always know roughly how many rounds are left. You call up ammo counts. You conserve during lulls. Experienced machine gunners have a feel for it, a sixth sense for when a belt is running low before the bolt locks back. You develop this feel over months, and you cannot explain how it works any more than you can explain how you know when you're about to sneeze. The gun jams. Guns jam. Immediate action, sports. Slap, pull, observe, release, tap, squeeze. You have done this procedure enough times that your hands begin the motion before your brain has consciously registered the stoppage. Your hands are ahead of you. This is the goal. The goal is to move the thinking out of your hands and put it somewhere slower and more deliberate, so your hands can just work. You come back from deployment. The first thing you do is sleep for 14 hours. The second thing you do is eat food that has not been rehydrated from a pouch, and you sit in a booth in a diner, and you order egg, and you eat them slowly, and the diner is loud and bright, and there are children at the next table arguing about something that will not matter in 5 minutes, and you sit there and you think, this is fine. This is all fine. The gun is in the arms room now, cleaned, logged, racked. It will stay there until the next time it is needed, and that suits you fine. You do not miss it. You do not have feelings about an object. Except that 3 weeks later, you are at the range qualifying on your personal rifle, and you go through the motions and hit your targets, and everything is mechanically correct. And when you're done and walking back in, something feels off. Something feels smaller than it should. You qualified expert. That's the highest score, and it felt like nothing, because you've been behind a machine gun. You know what it feels like when an entire sector of fire belongs to you. The rifle feels very quiet by comparison. There is a thing that happens to machine gunners over time. People start to ask for you by name, not officially, informally. A platoon leader planning a patrol looks at the terrain and says,
I want the 240 on the high ground. And someone says, get David. That's a version of success in this job that doesn't come with a ceremony or a certificate. It's just a thing that happens, quietly, because you have proven that when you are behind that gun, the gun line holds. You get a new AG. Kowalski rotates out, moves to a different assignment. His replacement is a kid named Torres, who is very quiet and very serious, and on his first range day, he feeds the belt without a single fumble for 200 rounds. And afterward, you look at him and you say, good. He nods. That's enough. The relationship is established. You are the gunner now in the full sense of the word, not just by designation, but by temperament, also by instinct. You walk into a room and you look for the corners. You walk a road and you look for the high ground. You sit in a vehicle and you track sightlines. This is not paranoia. This is the machine gunner's version of professional habit.
You have spent enough time behind that weapon that your brain has quietly reorganized itself around what the gun needs. Fields of fire, dead space, cover versus concealment. These are not concepts anymore. They're reflexes. Younger guys rotate into the unit, fresh out of school, still trying to figure out which end of the experience they're on. You watch them carry the gun the wrong way, the inefficient way, the way that telegraphs that they haven't yet understood the weapon is part of them now and not a separate object they are transporting. You don't say anything right away. You let them figure out what's uncomfortable about it. Then you show them the adjustment. One time. They either get it or they don't. Most of them get it. The ones who don't wash out or move to different jobs, and that's fine. Not everyone is built for the gun line, and the gun line has no use for people who are doing it against their nature. The weapon is heavy enough without carrying it against your will.
You are 4 years in now. The knot in your right trapezius has a friend now on the left side. Your knees have opinions about stairs. You have a resting awareness of ambient noise that your girlfriend finds unsettling when you're at restaurants, and she's trying to have a conversation, and you're tracking the sound of a door opening 30 feet behind her without appearing to look up. She says, you do that thing again. You say, what thing? She gives you a look that says, you know what thing. You do know what thing. There is a version of you that existed before the gun. That version is still there, but he's been relocated. He's in a back room somewhere, perfectly preserved. A person who did not know what 34 pounds felt like over 12 kilometers, who had not done a barrel change in the dark, who had not felt the ground vibrate under sustained fire at 800 rounds per minute.
That version of you seems very far away and also very recent, like something that happened to someone else and also happened last week. They ask you to help run qualification training for the new cycle. You stand on the range and you watch a kid who is 19 years old and weighs 160 pounds pick up an M240B for what appears to be his first real time. He grips it wrong. His elbows are too high. His bipod deployment is slow. He looks at you like he is waiting to be yelled at. You don't yell at him. You say, come here. You show him the grip. You show him where the support hand goes. You show him how the body should settle into it, not against it, with it. He does it again. It's better. Not good. Better. You say, again. He does it again. You do not tell him that this is the beginning of something that will occupy years of his life and reshape him in ways he cannot currently predict. You do not tell him about the deployments or the barrel changes or the barrel temperature or the sixth sense for ammunition count or the way his brain will quietly reorganize itself over time until the gun stops being an object and starts being an extension of the way he thinks. He'll figure that out. You just say, again, he does it again. The gun is heavy. His form is bad. He is going to drop it at some point, probably today, and he is still going to pick it up. Again, that is what he chooses. This is the path he chooses, and this road goes a long way that people don't see or have chosen to ignore.